Hi, this is Bobby Brown, and welcome to another fucking podcast.
You kids with your loud music and your Dan Fogelberg, your Zima, hula hoops, and Pac-Man video games, don't you see? People today have attention spans that can only be measured in nanoseconds.
Hello Hollywood, hello world, and hello my loyal minions. This is a show called Another Fucking Podcast. I'm your host, Izzy Presley, and it is a glorious, glorious edition of this show. 2 huge interviews. First of all, I will be joined from That Metal Show. He's a comedian. He has glorious sideburns, and his name is Don Jamieson. Great fun interview with Don Jamieson, and he's going to be joining us in a little bit. And then the headliner, the main eventer, the showstopper for this episode, a man who's in a band that has been around for 40 years. And it is one of these bands that is very... I don't want to say underrated, but I want to say underappreciated. Much like King's X, this band should be monstrous. And they were big for a little while. And they had a good run in the 80s. But Y&T, their guitar player, their singer Dave Meniketti will be joining me, and this man is such an amazing, not only vocalist, but guitar player. This guy should be considered one of the gods, and he never gets spoken of. The right people do, but in general, he kind of gets forgotten, and it's sad, because he is, what a player. What a fucking player. If you've never listened to Y&T, listen to Y&T, and you will love Y&T. And listen to, pardon me, and listen to Dave Meniketti's guitar playing. He is amazing. Great songs, great guitar. I don't know what else there is to say about it. So we did an interview that is nearly an hour long, and I'm going to bring you that in its entirety. Because I'm not going to break it up into 2 episodes. And oh, God, the show's going to be almost 2 hours long. Boo, frickety-hoo. That's how I roll around here. Next week, the episode will be 2 hours long. And I'm okay with that. 4 interviews next week. I could have split them up and spread them out. 2 here, 2 there, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and had content for over a month. But no. First of all, it's time sensitive because the Immortal Randy Rhoads Ultimate Tribute Show is on Friday for Under the Covers. And those full interviews will be on the next episode of Another Fucking Podcast. And the record comes out on the 3rd of March, and the next podcast is the 3rd of March. So why would I spread out 4 interviews over a month when the record comes out March 3rd, and I'd spread out the interviews after that? Fuck that. No. All in one show. Go big or go home. So how you doing? You had a good week? Mine was okay. Friday, I lost my day job, but hey, fuck it. I'm a full-time Lyft driver now. Yeah. Until I find something else. Speaking of that, hold on one second. Let me grab my phone. Open up my Lyft app. And I want to give you guys a code. Because I know I've spoken about it before on my Facebook and on my Twitter, but this is the deal. if you want to go out, you want to have a good time, you don't want to drive, you don't want to pay the exorbitant amount that cabs charge and deal with fucking douchebag cabbies, get yourself a Lyft. The pink mustaches. Yes, I drive for that. If you haven't used this before, if it is available in your city, go download the app on your smartphone. And then when you go to put in your all your finance, see, this is the beauty of it. There's no money that's exchanged. It's all done through the app and through your credit card. All right? And there will be a box for a promotional code in there. You're going to put in this code, Izzy 545363. That's Izzy 545363. And that is going to get you your first ride for free up to $20. So if your ride ends up being a $40 ride, it's still only going to cost you $20. If it's $20 and under, it's going to be free. That's Izzy 545363. That's your Lyft promotional code. Yeah. So there you go. Before I get into my little rant and then the Don Jamieson interview, I must say, please support the show. Support the sponsors. Go to rockstarleatherworks.com. Buy yourself a watch, a band, something cool. Go to Dead Threads. Look up Dead Threads. You'll hear the I'm stuttering. You'll hear the ad in the show twice. You'll hear the address, the Etsy address. You're going to go there. You're going to buy something for your gal. Or if you're a gal, you're going to buy something for yourself. And you're going to love it. vid-decals.com. Stickers. Bumper stickers. You have a funny idea for a bumper sticker. They can make it for you. Check them out. And, of course, please support the show via the interweb. Facebook.com/another effing podcast. Izzy_Presley on the Twitter machine. Or you can email me at izzy@izzypresleyproductions.com. And you can support the show monetarily if you like. You don't have to, but I'd appreciate it because, well, I am technically jobless, even though I'm driving Lyft on the side. But that's besides the point because this money goes into the show. Izzy.presley@gmail is your PayPal address. Izzy.presley@gmail is your PayPal address. If you want to support a school, that's awesome. If not, that's fine too. Which also reminds me I have stickers I have to send out. Sorry, Trailer Park Russ. My bad. I'll get them sent out this week. And Brian Kuntz. Thank you, Brian, for putting this show up on your website every week. And, of course, I forgot to look it up. You can also hear the show, stuffdudeslike.com. Yeah. It is what it says it is. Stuff Dudes Like. Mike Bichetti. He's been a former guest on this show. He contributes to that website weekly. Funny stuff. The Papa's Basement. The Papa's Football Podcasts. Good stuff there, too. So just go to stuffdudeslike.com. Check out the site. You'll enjoy it. Now, all right. Before I bring in Don Jamieson, Saturday I went and had lunch with a friend, and at this place called like Father's Office or something ridiculous like that down in Culver City. It's a very small menu, which is fine. You know, one of these craft beer overpriced fucking California douche places where they force you to valet. It amazes me here in California how many places you have to valet if you want to park on their lot. These tiny little restaurants that have tiny little lots, they force you to valet. Or you can just be smart and park on the street and walk a block because you're a fat fucker like me and you need to, get some exercise. But so this place, I mean, the food was good. I mean, it wasn't amazing, but it was good. I had a root beer. That was delicious. I like a good root beer. But this is one of these places where I didn't want the greens. I didn't ask him to change the burger and substitute this and blah, 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 that. No, just don't put the greens on it. Well, we don't do that. What do you mean you don't do that? Our cooks don't like it. So your cooks don't like it when somebody says, well, I don't want that on the burger. They don't like it. They don't like, basically, are they so stupid that they can't take a fucking green off a burger or not even put it on? People want the food, they want it. I wasn't asking to substitute this and do that and blah, 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 blah. I just said, I don't want the greens on the burger. So now you're wasting money. You're wasting your company's money by putting something on that is just going to get thrown away anyways. You can't, well, you can just pick them off. Well, you couldn't fucking pick them off. Because the way these fucking, I don't even know what the fuck it was. It wasn't lettuce. It was something. Irregular of blah. You couldn't pick it all off. I didn't want them on there. But, of course, I tried picking them off, and I ended up having to fucking eat them anyways. Because these cock smokes wouldn't make my fucking burger without them. No, I'm just going to waste it. So I order for my friend. Well, my friend doesn't want a bun. Well, they have to get the bun. What do you mean they have to get the bun? Well, just take it off. Well, just don't fucking put it on in there in the first place. Don't use a bun. Wasting more money. You're throwing away food. You're wasting food. Pardon me, I'm sorry I'm so fucking worked up about this, but this pisses me off. Well, our chefs don't like that. Your chefs don't like, your fry cooks don't like the fact that, he doesn't want, this person doesn't want a bun. I don't want to waste it. I don't want to throw it away. Let somebody else eat it. People are starving. If you're ever in LA, drive down 3rd Street, downtown Minneapolis, downtown Los Angeles sometime. See Skid Row. You think one of those people would like a fucking bun? Think they'd be happy eating that? I think they would. No, we have to throw it away because you don't want it. Instead of conserving it and using it on the next burger you're going to make. I don't understand this fucking logic. Well, our cooks don't like it. Fuck you. Fuck your fucking cooks and fuck your fucking business. It's horse shit. You're fucking snobby California douche ass. Our cooks don't like it. There's no substitutions. I'm not substituting anything. I'm saying I don't want it on my fucking burger. Is it hard to understand? Is it hard to comprehend? And then it's one of these fucking places too where 2 burgers, a side of fries, and these chorizo fucking ball thingies. $6 and you got 4 of them. And they were okay. They weren't fucking great. It's a fucking $50 stint if you're paying for 2. So I'm dropping $50 in your fucking restaurant and I can't get my burger without the fucking greens on it? Fuck you. Fuck you and the fucking horse you rode in on, you fucking cocksmoke. Pardon about my language. But that's just how I roll on this show. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. Boo frickety hoo. All right, I'm worked up. I'm going to take a break, and I'm going to bring on Don Jamieson. He's from That Metal Show. He's a comedian. Go buy his records. Go see him live. And we'll talk to him right after this.
Hey ladies, Death Threads will take that rock shirt that everybody has and make it your own in a flattering, sassy, and simple way. There are one-of-a-kind, handmade rocker tube top dresses, lace-up tees, and tank tops already in stock. Check out the online store at etsy.com/shop/DeathThreadsInc and like Death Threads on Facebook for special offers and custom orders. That's etsy.com/shop/DeathThreadsInc. Death Threads will make you the envy of the party.
Friday, February 27th is a very special edition of Under the Covers as I give you the immortal Randy Rhoads Ultimate Tribute Special. The show will feature songs from the album, available Tuesday, March 3rd, that features Rudy Sarzo, George Lynch, Brad Gillis, Bruce Kulick, Joel Hoekstra, and more, and was produced by Bob Kulick. Joining me on the show will be Rudy Sarzo, Joel Hoekstra, Bruce Kulick, and producer Bob Kulick. The entire interviews will be played on March 3rd on Another Effing Podcast. Don't miss the immortal Randy Rhoads Ultimate Tribute Special exclusively on
Under the Covers with Izzy Presley. If you need to promote your band or business, or just want to stylize, personalize, or customize your ride, check out vid-decals.com. Want to create and customize your own stickers representing your band, or make your own bumper sticker? Vid Decals can do it. All stickers are printed on quality vinyl and can be placed on any flat surface. Stickers are an affordable way to promote your band or business. Go to vid-decals.com to get started. That's vid-decals.com. vid-decals.com.
RockstarLeatherworks.com is your home for badass rock and roll gear. Featuring 100% handmade leather bands, watches, cuffs, bracelets, and more, Rockstar Leatherworks has something for everybody. Whether you are going to the show or you are in it, you can find something to fit your needs. Choose from a variety of designs or create your own masterpiece. Their bands and watches are second to none. They also ship internationally. Who needs a stage to be a rock star? Check out rockstarleatherworks.com. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another fucking podcast. The man with the sideburns. He's a comedian, and of course, he is on That Metal Show. And now he is going to be joining us on the Monsters of Rock cruise. Finally, Mr. Don Jamieson. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, yeah, man. I'm excited about that cruise, dude. That's going to be good times, man. Just 5 days of mayhem, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Just plenty of music, drinking, hangovers. It's going to be killer, man.
You think your liver is prepared for this, man? I'm sure you've heard the stories by now.
I've hung out with Dimebag, so my liver can handle anything. You know what I mean? It's like a minor league player who got called up to the majors for like a half a season, but then they never go back again. But they could tell everybody, yeah, I was on the Mets for about 6 months, in the middle of the season. So, that's how I can brag. I'm like, yeah, I was friends with Dimebag for a couple of years. So, yeah, my liver could pretty much withstand anything.
Oh, man, that's good. That's good training for anything.
Exactly.
What are you most excited about the cruise?
Performing, definitely. And hanging, man. I mean, at this point, the guys that I didn't know previously in all these amazing bands, I kind of know now. So it'll just be good to catch up with people. That's the whole thing in the world of bands and musicians. It's like a lot of these guys are close friends, but hey, their bands are busy. They're recording. They're on tour, and sometimes guys don't see each other for a couple of years, but then they just fall right back into things like, hey, how you been? How's the wife and kids? It's almost like it's only been a couple of weeks, but it's been a couple of years, and that's the same thing with me with some of these guys. I haven't seen them in a few years, so excited to just catch up with people and obviously, just hear some kick-ass music.
Is there anybody on the boat that you haven't seen yet?
I'm not sure. I know I'm doing a tour with Rhino Bucket after we get off the boat, so yeah, I'm excited to go out with them because, thanks to the great fans of That Metal Show, I actually go out and, do my comedy and open for bands as well as obviously doing regular comedy clubs and stuff like that and festivals and stuff now. So, yeah, I'm not sure on the lineup again. I'd have to look, but there's probably a few on there I haven't seen.
That's kind of a throwback to the old school days of rock and roll and concerts with comedians opening up for somebody. I haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah, bands always used to have comics open for them because, the last thing a band wants to deal with is another friggin' band. They're a pain in the ass. There's 19 guys. They got they argue over 3 inches of stage space. This guy, I got to borrow your drums. The equipment doesn't work. So, it's just a pain in the ass. There's a change over time. So you bring a comic out. All you got to do is have a microphone. He tells his dick jokes into the microphone, and 20 minutes later you're on stage playing. So I love it, and it's a tough gig, definitely. But for me, it just it reminds me of the early days of when I was doing comedy, and before I was even playing in comedy clubs, I used to do bars and stuff, and it was just, like a bunch of rowdy people in a bar, and you just screamed at them, and, that's how you got by. So that it's sort of the same principle. So again,
Right.
I got my training in early, and, so that's helping me out. Now, I'm sure this Monsters of Rock cruise is going to be definitely a rough gig, but I can't wait for it.
Yeah, dude, you just get ready. It's going to be a fucking blast. I had Mike Bichetti on here a few weeks back.
Thank you, Izzy. You've been a great friend over the years. What do you call? Like I said, this is going to be the big year. Am I right or wrong? Oh, God.
And it's fucking spot
it's
on.
the only
dude.
impression I do.
Oh,
and I've
that's
been waiting
hilarious.
20 years for him to get famous so that I could go on Saturday Night Live and make $1 million. And so please keep promoting him if you can. I need him to be famous. I need to be a millionaire. And the only way I could do that is getting on Saturday Night Live and doing his impression.
Oh, dude, that's fucking spot on, too, man. I love Mike. Such a nice guy.
Nobody knows him in the world, but it's the only impression I could do.
Oh, that's great.
Instead of working on Jack Nicholson and Christopher Walken and, stuff that would actually get me on TV.
Right.
I'm working on Mike Bichetti, a comedian from Staten Island that nobody knows.
But we were talking about, this PC bullshit that's going on. And I kind of want to talk about that with you two a little bit. And one thing we talked about a little bit is, have you seen it kind of? Because it used to be like comedians, they're the ones that had the pass. They could do it anything they want. Nobody, he's a comedian, haha, it's funny, whatever. Do you find it's kind of working its way into the clubs now? These PC people kind of being able to limit what you're able to do.
Yeah, I mean, really, the club owners aren't putting limits on anything. It's just people in general just being more sensitive than they ever were. So,
right.
That's the thing. But I always say, like, the good thing too about the metal crowd is like, we're not politically correct, and I love that, man.
Right.
I mean, when people start calling Black Sabbath African American Sabbath, then that's it. I'm out. I'm finding a new job. I'm not going to listen to Caucasian Snake. I mean, where do we draw the line here? You know what I mean? But AC/DC's bisexual Australians. I mean, how PC are we going to get in this world? When people come out to a nightclub, that's what they want to hear, inappropriate humor. You worked, the guy who busted his ass all week at his plumbing gig, and his wife wants to go out on a Friday night and go to a comedy show, and you want to hear dirty jokes and and stuff that's a little off color, and it's okay because you know what? It's comedy. It doesn't mean anything.
Right.
It's just to get a few laughs. But yeah, man, look, you got to face it, man, because you got these are the times now. People hear buzzwords and they get. Really, they get freaked out, Before they even hear what the content of the joke is, they just hear a certain buzzword and they get nervous. But I think the good thing is, I've been doing comedy, 18 years now. So the people who come to see me now at this point know what they're getting into. And, they don't want me to tame my act down, I mean,
Right.
I mix it up a lot. I mean, there's jokes for everybody in my act, so I don't really
Right.
worry about it. I could do a dirty, filthy, un-PC joke, and the next joke could be the cleanest joke in my act. I love doing stuff like that. I love throwing curveballs at people. So, but yeah, man, overall, it's there's definitely, you could see people in the crowd sometimes, like stuff that used to really kill, just doesn't have the same pop anymore.
Well, and do you feel like now, especially with the TV gig, that you really do have to watch yourself a little bit? I mean, even on social media, I mean, you look like what happened to the dude from Opie and Anthony. He's pissed off, something happened to him, and then all of a sudden he's a quote unquote racist because he made a he made a comment about something that happened to him.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the sad realization of what we're going through in this world. And I don't know Anthony personally, but
Right.
That was just, it's just insane to think that something that you do even outside the context of the job, can get you in that much trouble. But that's the thing. We're a bunch of tattletales in this country. Everybody
Right.
can't wait to oh, look what this guy did, and I want to put it on social media and shame them. I mean, come on. What are you, 14 years old? I mean,
Right.
oh, you blocked me on Twitter. Oh, so I'm supposed to cry for 2 days? I mean, give me a break. Just mind your fucking business. Shut your mouth. Unless you got something to say and you need it to be heard, just do what I did and become a comedian.
Well, I guess that's the easiest way to do it.
Yeah, but I don't now. I don't worry about, dude. I don't worry about it. My comedy act is my act. I could go on stage and feel great about everything I'm doing and saying because I know what I am. I don't.
Right.
Anyone could tweet or Facebook or whatever they want to say, but I know who I am, and like I said, at this point, my audience knows who I am. So, I'm not afraid of offending people. Yeah, a little on Twitter, it's definitely, you can't read sarcasm. So,
Right.
Usually what I do is, especially if I write a straight up joke, I'll write it, save it in drafts, and go back to it like an hour later and take another look at it and go, you know what, I could see how this could be taken this way, but I'll just change it, So it's a little different with the written word because it's, again, it's just black on white, and you can't, some people aren't bright enough to read in between the lines, so you got to work with that.
And that metal show. Congratulations on what season is this now?
This is season 71, I think. It's 14, season 14 now, and we've been off for like almost a year, so
Right.
I mean, this is just like great to be back and refreshed, and thank God, we truly do have the greatest fans. I mean, they just keep watching the repeats and the repeats of the repeats, and and everybody was right back on board with us when our first episode aired with Geddy Lee. So thank you to all you guys, man, for being so patient. Believe me, nobody wanted to be doing more shows any more than we did,
Right.
So.
Well, I suppose you gotta like this the new format you guys started last year too, where you do one every week and it's still fresh.
That's it. You get, we tape it on a Tuesday, and by Saturday, it's still fresh. You're not. When we taped in L.A., there'd be shows that didn't air like 3 months later, so we'd be talking about, like Bill Ward not being in Sabbath, and everybody at home's going, "What? We knew this, months ago. Now you guys are just talking about it." And then if we'd been off a few months before that, 6 months before that, then the news is real old. So this is way better for us. It's better for our fans, and it's great, man. We got the one show with Geddy under our belt, and I'm going in tomorrow to do one with the guys from Anthrax and Alex Skolnick
Nice.
on guitar. So that's going to be a very thrashy episode of that metal show, and
Very cool.
it's a good, diverse season, man.
And is there anybody that you want to see come on? I mean, obviously I know everybody's got their wish list, and it's all about who's going to be in town and who actually wants to do it. But do you have any dream guests?
Well, I dream about Lemmy when he used to wear those tight little denim shorts, the cutoffs. As far as dreaming about guests,
Right.
That's a reoccurring one for me.
Nightmare to some.
But besides the obvious who have not been on, which is Ozzy and
Right.
Gene and Paul from Kiss, which I'd be thrilled if all those guys would come on. I mean, they all have an open door, and that's been made known. But truthfully, I was so blown away by Al Jorgensen's autobiography, and I've been a fan of Ministry since the 80s. So after reading his book, it really rekindled my interest in that cat because it's so insane. It makes The Dirt look like a children's book.
Really?
Yeah, and we had him booked last year to come on the show, but he ended up having to go to rehab, so he canceled. So I really want to get Uncle Al on the show because he really is just there's just so much to get into with that guy. It's just a miracle that he's alive and has made music and won Grammys, and he's an incredible guy, man.
It's weird. It's like my dream guest. Everybody thinks it'd be Ace, which would be awesome, but the one that I really want is like Izzy Stradlin, because he's the one. That's the one that you would never get. I have a better chance of getting John Lennon.
Yeah, right, exactly. And you know what, man? You're right. That's a good call because we had Mick Mars on last season from Motley. To me, that's the guy you want to get.
Right.
Tommy and Vince and Nicky, those guys all want to talk.
Right.
That you see them in every interview. You get Mick. People are like, you got Mick? Holy shit, I can't believe it. I'm like, yeah, we got Mick, and he was great. And he wants to talk, and he loves to talk. It's just that he's in a band with 3 other guys, who all want to get in front of the mic before him.
Right.
So it's really created this mystique about him where he's this like quiet, like real, kind of, mysterious figure, but he's not. He's like a real sweetheart of a guy, actually.
Oh, absolutely he is. He used to do a column in the magazine I used to write for. And yeah, he'd send it in on time every month. Super nice guy and, straightforward to the point.
Yep.
Yeah, I just realized this. I've known you a little bit for a little while now, but I don't actually know a lot about you.
That's better that way.
Yeah, I guess that is true. You said you've been doing comedy for 18 years. Is that what you wanted to do when you were growing up? And did you have the big dreams of the little stage, in the corner of the comedy club?
Well, my interests growing up, which are still the same interests I have now, were music and comedy. I was just always like heavily into my music, 9 years old, picking up Kiss Destroyer, and then by 11 listening to Cheech and Chong and George Carlin and, not really even fully understanding all the humor, but just knowing that it was subversive and, because it was, I wanted to hear more of it, So those 2 things have always been my interest and they still are. And, as my comedy career, and I use that term loosely, progressed, I always said that, at some point now, I want to merge these 2 worlds. And, this is sort of, how it's culminated, man, in doing that metal show. So, bucket list, career things both checked off, man.
Yeah, dude, it's just badass. And how was it tough getting going? I mean, who did you listen to when you were growing up, as far as like comedy wise? I mean, you're an East Coast guy, right?
Yeah, I'm an East Coast guy. So, I mean, besides obviously, like I said, Carlin,
right,
Cheech and Chong, and all that. As far as the guy who made me get on stage was Andrew Dice Clay. I mean, without a doubt, because that was like picking up Kiss Destroyer for the first time. It's like he's not just a comic; he's a superhero. He's a rock star. He's a cartoon character. He's
right.
like all these great things all rolled into one, and he's completely un-PC, which that's always my preference for comedy. Even though I could listen to Seinfeld and laugh my ass off. But my preference is always that kind of stuff, the harder edge stuff, Kinnison and all that stuff. So, but Dice is the guy where I just said, I got to try this. I'll never be that good, but I'll kill myself. I can't die knowing I didn't even try.
Right. It seems like as far as East Coast comics go, you guys really have. It's almost kind of like a little clique. Does it feel like that?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's funny, man. Jersey comics are definitely like a close-knit bunch of guys, and those are my guys that I came up with because, I live here in Jersey and, coming up with Jim Florentine and Jim Norton and Artie Lang, and we all supported each other, and there's cliques of comics in other places. I mean, I perform in New York City, but sometimes those cliques could tend to be just, ultra competitive and unfriendly. I've always found the Jersey comics just to be more like, hey, if I get in this club, I'll get you in. And then if I got in, I'd get somebody else in. You know what I mean? Like we always helped. It was always supportive of each other. And, that's the metal community is the same way, man. It's just like people like to help each other out, man. You go to a metal show, you see people in the pit, and you see somebody get, just slammed to the ground and their glasses like fly off, and 1,000 people will stop and like run and pick up the person's glasses and pick them up off their feet and get them going again. So, that's a good atmosphere to try a whacked out career like comedy in.
How tough is the road in comedy? Because I was listening to Hicks last night, and he's got that, that bit where he's talking about playing the comedy pouch in Possum Ridge, Arkansas 3 times a year, and I've known a few comedians that used to come through my old town, St. Cloud, a lot. That just seems like it's got to be a brutal road. No,
I mean, those are the gigs you love, the laugh lounge in in the back of the the tuna colada room at the Holiday Inn, man, because
Right.
those people laugh at everything. New York and L.A. is the tough gigs, man, where they see every show of every kind of music and comedy and art and culture, and so those are always the hardest gigs. It's the ones in the middle of the country. I mean, you just walk out on stage and say hi, and they're happy you're there. So
Right.
no, I love those gigs. I love traveling, man. I'm not a married guy, so I don't have kids, so for me to get away is no problem. I don't I don't have to worry about missing my family or any of that stuff. I just get up and go, man. And I just throw in my backpack, throw some of my CDs in there, jeans and a T-shirt. I don't put a suit on stage.
Right.
I don't even own a suit. Nothing good could come from owning a suit, except going to weddings and funerals, and both of those suck. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, I just get and go. It's not as it's a little tougher flying these days, with the security and stuff. But
Right.
other than that, nah, man, I love the life on the road. It's great.
Are you a whore on the road? Doing the dice, double loads for you and you and you,
Well, I used to be, but I've been with my girl like 4 years
Aha,
now. So,
okay. All right.
I've changed my ways. It's funny, and Florentine got married too about 4 years ago. So, he and I, it was good. We both like retired at the same time, because it was funny. When we were both hooked up with our girls, and we went out to Kansas City, where we used to have good statistics out there, let's
Right.
just say. And I remember the first time us both going out there with girlfriends, and we get done with the show. It's like 10 o'clock, and normally we'd be right out to the bar, and we both kind of look at each other, and I'm like, what do you want to do? He's like, I guess I'm a little tired. I go, yeah, me too. I'm going to go to the room. And we just went back to our room at like 10 o'clock at night, and I was like, it's sad, but you know what? We get so much more stuff done. Our
Right.
careers have actually like progressed because we're not out till 3 a.m. running around. So it's actually been good.
Oh, that's fucking great. And when are you coming out to LA again?
Yeah, I'm not sure, man. Because since we've been taping back in New York, we tried to, Jim and I have gone out there a few times and set up some trips out there. We just played the Whiskey, Jim and Eddie and I actually.
Yeah, that's right.
We do a live stage show, and that was about 8 months ago or so, and that was so killer. I mean, to play at the Whiskey was
Right.
It's legendary. It's like I know the people who live in LA. They go, oh, the Rainbow's lame. This is lame. That's like
Fuck
it's
them.
It's the fucking Whiskey, man.
I know.
I performed on the same stage as Van Halen and Crew and all those great Guns, all these great bands coming up, man. So it was an honor, man. But yeah, not sure when I'm gonna get back out again. Probably in the summer sometime.
Yeah, dude, it's shocking because, like I said, I told you before we started doing this. I'm driving for Lyft now, and there's a lot of people. They're talking about their clubs. I'm like, yeah, that's why I just go to the Rainbow. They go, what the hell's the Rainbow? I'm like, really? You don't know the Sunset Strip? You live here. How do you even not know what that is? It's mind-boggling.
I know, and it's look, I love the Rainbow, man. Again, it's,
Right.
Where else can you go in and fucking sit there and drink all night and watch Lemmy play video poker sitting
Right.
at the end of the bar?
I have yet to see him there. It's weird.
Well, he slowed down.
Yeah.
He has slowed down a little because he's had so many health problems, and he's had to, kind of cut back on the drinking and stuff. But, it might be good that he's not in the Rainbow as
Right.
much.
Right.
But believe me, his butt was firmly planted on that end bar stool or behind the Miss Pac-Man machine for many, many years. So,
Right, absolutely.
look, at this point, get Lemmy where he's going to be around the longest, wherever's the healthiest situation, because I'll be honest, how much I love Lemmy, and I wear it on my sleeve, and
Absolutely.
I don't, it scares me to think of a world without him. So let's just hope we're going to have him on that metal show this season again. So we'll
Good.
we'll get to the bottom of things with him and see how he's doing.
You need the guy that's going to be coming on the show after you here in a little bit is Dave Meniketti from Y&T.
Yeah, well, he's been on the show before.
Has he?
and- Yeah, like
shit.
around season, I don't know, maybe 8 or something.
It's early.
he was on.
It's
yeah,
early.
a little earlier on, but
No,
yeah,
I mean,
he's definitely due for a return visit. And Jim and Eddie and I are all Y&T fans, so
Right.
we love Dave, and he's just one of those players that he'll never get the recognition that he deserves as a player and a singer, and
Right.
still doing it just as well now as he did 30 years ago.
40 years ago.
Yeah.
Jesus
Yesterday and
Christ.
today, man. Amazing.
We're fucking old, man. Dude, this has been a blast. This has been a blast. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. We'll obviously see you on the boat.
Yeah, man. We'll do it, man. We'll start training your liver now, get it into shape, get it up to, get it into playing condition, and I'll meet you at the bar.
Sounds good. I guess, when I had you on Rockin' 101, we talked about your favorite live track, and I guess we'll end this. What's your favorite cover song?
Oh, that's a good one. We're going to do that one on Top 5 Cover Songs on
nice.
That Metal Show, so I should start thinking about this.
Nice.
God, there's so many great ones. There's a lot of really bad ones.
Yes.
I'm thinking of actually doing my list, all like the worst ones, just to piss Eddie off.
That'd be awesome.
But favorite cover? Oh man, you know what? You can't go wrong if you go Priest, Diamonds, and Rust. That's one of my favorites.
Absolutely. I'll get it on next week's cover show for you. Buddy, it's been a blast. I look forward to hanging out on the boat, man.
All right, take it easy, brother.
Yep, take care. We'll talk soon. All right. Don Jamieson, Monsters of Rock Cruise, and of course, he will be on That Metal Show, which is airing right now on VH1 Classic. Find it online and find him on Twitter at The Real Don Jamieson, Facebook, and all that kind of good stuff. Right after the break, I'll be right back with Y&T's Dave Meniketti. Cannot wait for you guys to hear this. Friday, February 27th is a very special edition of Under the Covers as I give you the immortal Randy Rhoads Ultimate Tribute Special. The show will feature songs from the album, available Tuesday, March 3rd, that features Rudy Sarzo, George Lynch, Brad Gillis, Bruce Kulick, Joel Hoekstra, and more, and was produced by Bob Kulick. Joining me on the show will be Rudy Sarzo, Joel Hoekstra, Bruce Kulick, and producer Bob Kulick. The entire interviews will be played on March 3rd on another effing podcast. Don't miss the immortal Randy Rhoads Ultimate Tribute Special exclusively on
Under the Covers with Izzy Presley.
RockstarLeatherworks.com is your home for badass rock and roll gear. Featuring 100% handmade leather bands, watches, cuffs, bracelets, and more, Rockstar Leatherworks has something for everybody. Whether you are going to the show or you are in it, you can find something to fit your needs. Choose from a variety of designs or create your own masterpiece. Their bands and watches are second to none. They also ship internationally. Who needs a stage to be a rock star? Check out RockstarLeatherworks.com.
If you need to promote your band or business, or just want to stylize, personalize, or customize your ride, check out vid-decals.com. Want to create and customize your own stickers representing your band, or make your own bumper sticker? Vid Decals can do it. All stickers are printed on quality vinyl and can be placed on any flat surface. Stickers are an affordable way to promote your band or business. Go to vid-decals.com to get started. That's vid-decals.com. vid-decals.com.
Hey ladies, Death Threads will take that rock shirt that everybody has and make it your own in a flattering, sassy, and simple way. There are one-of-a-kind, handmade rocker tube top dresses, lace-up tees, and tank tops all ready in stock. Check out the online store at etsy.com/shop/DeathThreadsInc. And like Death Threads on Facebook for special offers and custom orders. That's etsy.com/shop/DeathThreadsInc. Death Threads will make you the envy of the party.
All right, and we are back, and joining me now, a man who's in a band that has been around for 40-plus years. Well, a little bit over 40 years, I should say. Sold over 4 million records worldwide, and the man is amazing guitar player. Dave Meniketti from Y&T. Welcome to another fucking podcast.
Glad to be here.
When I first got into Y&T, it was actually just a couple years ago, which is odd because I'm, in my early 40s, and it was because of the Monsters of Rock cruise. I was bombed, and you guys were playing on the pool deck, and I went up for a smoke, and I walked into, I believe it was, I Believe in You, and I was hooked.
Oh, cool.
And you guys are back on the Monsters cruise this year.
Oh yeah. We've done it every year now. So, it's hard for us not to want to do it because
right.
It's such a cool vibe. It's a great vibe for the fans, and for us, it's great as we're out there on the water for 4 days or 5 days or however long it is, and the fans love it because the bands are accessible.
Right.
You know, I mean, we're all walking around watching our friends play or going to see a band that we've never seen before or something like that. And of course, along the way, you're going to be sitting next to a fan or talking to one, you know, when you're walking from one place to the other on the boat. So it's very cool. You know, I mean, if you're the type of rock star kind of guy that doesn't like being exposed,
right,
you probably wouldn't like it. It was not for you. But I mean, you know, most of us have found out through the last couple of these trips that, you know, everybody's really mellow on the cruise. I mean, there's a lot of drunk people and a lot of rockers that could get out there, I suppose.
Right.
But they're all pretty well contained on the boat. I've never had any problems, and I don't think that I've ever talked to anyone that has. So it's been a good thing. Yeah,
and everybody's really cool. I mean, the bands are great, the fans are great, and it's just a big. It's like a big happy family on a boat, pretty much. Do you have anything special planned for this year?
Well, there's a couple of different things going on. You know, besides the fact that, of course, we continue to tour a whole lot.
Right.
We're playing probably about 75 shows again this year. We're doing, you know, what we typically do in a year. We go to Europe to play a couple of big festivals in the summer, and then come back to Europe in the fall to do a 2-month headline tour all throughout Europe and the UK. And then we do a full U.S. tour for 2 months, which we're incorporating the Monsters Rock boat cruise in there as well, in April and May, and a ton of other dates that are sprinkled throughout, you know, the rest of the year. So that's our normal kind of thing. But then on top of that, what YNT's been doing is this time around, and potentially the only time around, is that we're going to be doing a documentary about us, and we put it up on Kickstarter to see if we can get some crowdfunding to get enough money to do this thing correctly, and we met our goal within the first 8 days.
Nice.
And people keep going at it because there's another week left, and it's going great. So that will be something that we'll be working on this year. You know, doing interviews with former band members, doing interviews with me primarily a lot,
right?
And really, the crew that will be taping a lot of this is going to be following us around for the most part. And they're like, you know, when we go to Europe in a couple of months to do a couple of festivals, they're going to be with us on the plane. They're going to be with us at the festivals, so on and so forth. So there's going to be a lot of instances of some bits and bobs of us backstage, and, you know, not pre-planned stuff, you know.
Right.
So it's a good vibe going down as far as you know, finding out about the band's entire career for one thing, and of course, you know, talking to former band members and current band members, but also besides the stories and everything else, we're going to be showing some stories that are being lived and you know, at the moment,
right.
You know, the current stuff too. So
right.
it should be fun.
Can you believe YNT's been around for 40 years?
No, it's pretty wild. I mean, you know, when I add up the dates, sure, I can say, yeah, okay, there it is. But
yeah,
you know, you live your life like most of us, I think, do on a day-to-day basis. You know, maybe some of us are always looking to the future about what's going to happen next year or 5 years from now or something like that. But as a musician, we never really did that. I certainly didn't. You know, the furthest ahead I probably looked in my career was maybe, you know, 6 months.
Right.
What was going to happen when this new record gets released, or when we get this tour or something like that. You know, that was the kind of stuff that I would be thinking about, especially when we were first getting started. Now it's just a day-to-day thing, you know, and life goes on, and I just take it a day at a time. And, you know, because we're still enjoying what we're doing, it just kind of flies right by. And, you know, 6 or 7 years go by in a literally a blink of an eye. It doesn't seem like it could, but it does.
Right. No, absolutely. And you know, it's so cool that you stuck with YNT this whole time. You had a little thing where you went off and did a little solo project, but according to your Wikipedia page, that you've had offers from other bands, like to play with Whitesnake and Frampton and Ozzy and Faith No More. I mean, first of all, is that true? And second of all, I mean, what held you back from looking at one of those ventures?
Most of that's true. I don't know about the Faith No More. I don't remember that one, but
Okay.
but the others were true, and it didn't feel right at the time, or I just didn't want to do it because we were right in the middle of for us doing well for Y&T, and it just didn't make any sense
Right.
for me to jump ship. The first offer that I got probably was Ozzy, and that happened while we were touring with AC/DC
Okay.
in the UK. We did the For Those About to Rock tour in the UK and Europe, 2 straight months with them, just the two of us, and we were finishing our last show for the UK, and we were in Dublin, Ireland, and which is not actually part of the UK anymore.
Right. Right.
They're their own.
Yep.
But just the same, at that time, Ozzy and Sharon were at the show, and we didn't know it. We just did our set and came off stage, and here's Ozzy and Sharon waiting for us right in our dressing room, and that was my first, actual, hey, I want you to join the band kind of thing that ever happened to me. And he literally got down on his knees. I mean, he actually did.
Wow.
And put his hands together and said, "Dave, will you please join my band?" And I didn't do it, but
Right.
it was embarrassing. It was cool in one way, but
Right.
because I'd never met Ozzy, and here we go, slap in the face. Here you go. Here's Ozzy Osbourne, and he's asking to join the band. So. I looked at the rest of our guys in the band, and they were all kind of looking at me at the other side of the room like, what the hell's going on?
Right, right.
And I was like, hey, thank you so much. I appreciate the offer, but,
Right. Was that before or after Randy died?
That was after.
Okay.
And Randy had died, and he had, I don't know how many replacement guitar players he had gone through at that point, but it was pretty soon after Randy died.
Okay.
So actually, the guy that was playing with him at the time is a local guy to the Bay Area here, literally probably lives within, 35 minutes of me. And he was the guitar player in Night Ranger.
Yeah, Brad Gillis, yeah.
Brad Gillis, yeah. And Brad's an awesome guitar player,
Yep.
and I got to give him props for the way that he plays as his own thing and all that kind of stuff. But for Ozzy at that time, he didn't like the vibe that Brad was putting down for his band at that time. He was complaining about the guy and said he was too nerdy, and he had to teach him how to be a rock star and move on stage and all this stuff. It was just really funny, actually. I was cracking up, but because he's a crack up anyway.
Right.
The guy's like a walking cartoon.
Absolutely.
But Ozzy, that is, and
him
so
too.
and I heard actually Brad playing live the tunes with Ozzy, and I thought he nailed it. But
Right.
Ozzy was looking for something different, and I obviously he saw me being the crazy man that I was at that time on stage, doing kicks and jumps and running from one side to the next on my knees, you name it, I did it kind of thing. And he just thought, no, here's what I want. I want a guy that's a showman and a crazy dude. So,
Right.
I'm glad I didn't do it.
Right.
Because it didn't make sense to me. I mean, I got into this business for one reason only, and that's because I love music. And when we found out how cool it was to come up with your own material and be your own band and be accepted for that worldwide, I wouldn't want to be a fill-in for somebody else's
Right.
dream. I want to create my own. So that's why it never resonated with me. It never stuck, to be anything other than, doing my own thing.
Absolutely. Were you a Rhodes fan? Were you?
Yeah, I wasn't per se a fan, like I followed him or anything, but obviously when I heard his playing, it was impressive. I thought he was great. When we did that particular record that we were touring on with AC/DC, which was the Black Tiger record, we recorded it in England, and we recorded it at the place that Ozzy did with the same person that Ozzy did his record with Randy Rhoads,
Oh, wow.
and or the most popular one, I should say, with
Right.
Randy. And of course, we were sitting there sometimes after 14 or 15 hours of straight tracking, being at 3 a.m, and we'd start getting the stories about what it was like and what was going down at the time, and we even felt like there was some weird presence in the room kind of thing.
Right.
You know, when it gets spooky in the odd hours of the morning and you're tired and you're hearing these stories about Randy and Ozzy and all this stuff. And where this studio was located was even more reason why it was kind of spooky. It was in the Surrey countryside, and it was an all-in-one kind of studio. It's like there's only one room, and it's in a barn that was you know, done up as a recording studio.
Wow.
And you stay in this 16th century house that's on the premises.
Right.
You walk, you know, from the premises to the studio, and you're out in the middle of nowhere, rolling hills and all this kind of stuff. And it was a wild thing to do. And there were a lot of records recorded at that studio, and I can see why, because it was so trippy. But, you know, the stories and the vibe, and, you know, being fresh that he had just passed away, and working with that same studio and with the same engineer and producer, it was an interesting phenomenon.
Wow.
And then to go from that to a couple of months later being asked to actually join that band was kind of interesting. I never quite put it together like that, but it was just a strange thought.
How old were you when Y&T started?
Let's see. It was 1974, so I was probably about 20 years old. Yeah.
And I had Billy Vera on a few months back, and I mean, he's a little bit older than you, but and he was telling me about because he's old enough where he remembers before there was rock and roll, and so he was telling me about the first time that he heard rock and roll.
Right.
What's your first memories of rock and roll? What really got you into it?
Hendrix. Hendrix really got me into it, most of all as a guitar player, but that wasn't the first thing that I heard, rock and roll.
Uh-huh.
But it was the one that really stuck with me, as far as really inspiring me to be a guitar player as well, besides the music itself.
Right.
That timing was probably, well, I started playing guitar in 1969,
mm-hmm.
and I was a sophomore in high school. So,
yeah.
it was in between sophomore and junior year, actually, is when I started it. It was in that summer. And it was just a really weird thing. A lot of people thought, wow, you started playing guitar when you were 16? That's late for some people, you know. And
right.
I thought, well, it probably is by most, you know, person's standards. But I was so into it because of the music that was around and new at that time. I mean, everything was coming out. Zeppelin was new, and
right.
and the Who had already been around for a while, and so had Deep Purple, and I was already listening to Black Sabbath, speaking of Ozzy,
right.
and all these other bands, and I was just struck by all that kind of music. And especially what really got to me was when I heard that first Zeppelin album, when I first heard the couple of blues tracks on there. That killed me because I was already into blues.
Mm-hmm.
And so this was like, wow, a heavy rock blues song with you know, distorted guitar solos and everything. So that to me was like, that was heaven. So
wow.
that all kind of was very impressive at that time. It really got me going, and I got pretty good pretty fast because I was so into it, and I think I had a knack for it because after only about a year and a half of playing, I was already in a band making money, and
mm-hmm.
You know, doing 4 1-hour sets and playing 40 something songs or
right.
50 songs. You know, so it all happened quite quickly for me.
What was your first guitar? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was. I wanted a Stratocaster so bad because of Hendrix, right?
Uh-huh.
And I just loved the way that the upside down Strat was and everything. Well, I couldn't find anything like that, and my dad wasn't going for it. You know, I mean, I was
right.
living at home. I was still in high school, and the you know, I had taken accordion lessons. The nice Italian boy that I was
right.
when I was in 3rd grade, and gave it up after like 2 years because I wasn't into it. And he's like, I'm not buying you a guitar because you already gave up. I go, Dad, no, this is a totally different thing. I'm really
yep.
into this. That was like, you know, I was a kid, and he goes, no, I'm not going to do it. So I had a paper route at the time, so I just saved my money and I bought a $30 Montgomery Ward's Strat copy.
Nice.
And so I just bought that thing, and boy, did he eat his words, because I never put the thing down. It was in my hands from the second I got home from school until literally I went to bed at night. So that was it, and probably one of the reasons why I got so good so quickly. I just had a knack for it, and I just never put it down.
So was your first big boy guitar a real Strat?
It was. Eventually, I don't know, maybe it might have been a year later or something. I had enough money, and my dad took me to a local, small place in a mall that had some used guitars, and there was a 1962 Fender Stratocaster Sunburst that was in perfect condition. And this guy said, this older guy that was working at the store, I mean, it's just such a weird vibe. And now that I think about it, and this guy's like, yeah, there was this country guitar player. You ever heard of blah, blah, blah? And I go, no. And he said, well, yeah, he's a local guy and blah, blah. And he just sold it to me, and he couldn't afford it anymore or something like that. But it's in great shape. I mean, it was like new.
Right.
And I bought it for $200 or $225 or something like that. And that was a lot of money for me. I mean, that was a lot of paper route money, but yeah, but I bought it, and that was my first real guitar.
Do you still have it?
No, I so wish I did. I got broke when I moved out of my house when I turned 18, and I sold the damn thing as soon as I bought a Les Paul, and I thought, well, I'm not using the Strat so much anymore, and I could use the money for rent, so I sold it to this guy in Berkeley, California, that had this used guitar company place, and they were experts. They knew when something came into their store, or somebody trying to sell them something that was a really good guitar that would make them lots of money. And he saw me coming, and he offered me $150, and I said sure. And he probably turned around and sold it for $600 or $700 at that time. And of course now that a 62 Strat would have been another story. It'd be multi-thousands.
Right. What was that first Les Paul you had? What year was that?
So one that I still use, and that's my signature guitar, 1968, and I bought it in 72, and so it was only 4 years from manufacture, and the guy I bought it from was a local guitar tech that worked at a local music store that I used to rent, Fender, like deluxe reverbs and stuff like that, because I didn't have my own amp yet. And, they'd rent them to you on a day-by-day basis or a week basis or something like that. And this guy was selling this Les Paul, perfect Les Paul. Was exactly what I wanted, a Sunburst Les Paul. And it felt great and everything. And he said, I'll sell it to you for $225. And I said, all right.
God.
And he goes, but there's only one thing. I got this gig coming up this weekend. So do you mind? You could just wait a couple of days. And as soon as, I do the gig, then I'll sell it to you. And I said, okay. Well, he calls me after the weekend and says, I'm so sorry, but if the guitar got knocked down and the peg head broke right off the guitar,
oh, Jesus.
So the neck busted.
Right.
And he goes, but I'm taking it down to, knocking whatever the hell music at some place in Oakland that was a really good repair place. And he goes, it'll be a couple of weeks, but they'll fix it and you'll never notice a difference. It'll be like new, but I'll knock the price down to $200. And I said, okay. And I waited and I saw it and they did a great job. And you never know that it was broken. And I bought it for $200 and then it got broken probably another 6 to 9 more times.
Right.
And then finally I just, like 10 years ago, I sent the thing off to Gibson and said, build me a new neck exactly like my old one, and I'm saving my old one.
Wow.
So they did, and it cost me more than 9 times the price of what I paid for the guitar. $1,800 for a new neck.
Jesus Christ, that's insane. You were involved with something really cool a couple years back, the Montrose Jam. Why don't you tell us about that a little bit?
Well, yeah, that was. I was just driving home from getting some groceries or something, and the phone rings in the car. I had the Bluetooth on, and it's Sammy, and he goes, "Hey, Dave, Sammy," and I hadn't talked to Sammy, you have to know that we were friends and we used to play together a long, long time ago when we were all getting started. At the same time.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, after Montrose. I mean,
Okay.
Sammy had his own band. It was
Okay.
the Sammy Hagar Band. And we used to, we were all playing together in the early 70s, playing all the shows, trying to get our names out there again. Y&T, Sammy Hagar, Eddie Money. Those were the three bands that were up and coming from the Bay Area at that time. And so, we were friends way back when, and, he even used to come out and jam with Y&T at some shows and stuff like that. And then we didn't talk very much. And then right before he got into Van Halen, we talked some more because he was telling me all about the experience, and he wanted to offload some of his old songs now that he was going into a different band that he had written for his solo stuff, and he thought Y&T could use it. And then I probably talked to him a few more times after that, and then it was silence pretty much because we were all doing our own thing, and we just didn't, hit each other up for anything. And it was probably 20-something years since I talked to him.
Wow.
And then he calls on the phone out of nowhere. And so that's I'm just giving you a little perspective on that, because that's why he's like, I go, yeah. and he goes, are you okay with me calling you, man? And I go, yeah, of course. I think he thought there was some weird thing going down or something. But anyway, it was cool. And he, led me on to the fact that he's on his 40th year anniversary tour that year. And for his 40th year anniversary thing that he's doing live is he's going down the line of starting the set with the beginning of his career and following in chronological order, how it went down. So the first 4 songs of the set are going to be Montrose songs. And he's going to have all the original guys from Montrose in there. And would I please take Ronnie's place, since he had passed away, and do the gig. And I was like, wow, that sounds totally cool. It was just for one show in San Francisco in his hometown, and so I said, I'll check my schedule when I get home, and I'll let you know. And of course, I called him back and said, yeah, I'm on. Let's do it. And then he said, okay, it's going to be 2 months from now. We'll have a rehearsal about a month from now, and one rehearsal, and that's it. And here's the songs I think we're going to do. And that was it. He sent about 5 different songs, and about a month later, we rehearsed them at his rehearsal studio in Northern California, and with the original band. It was the first time that I had ever played with Denny Carmassi in a band, and that was so cool.
Yeah.
and it was really good. It all went down nice and everything. And he goes, okay, so we'll see you in San Francisco in a month. And then a couple of weeks later, he let it out, or actually it was that day. That's right. That day he let it out on Facebook that here's a picture of the band that's going to be playing the first couple of songs on my gig in San Francisco, and it's Dave Meniketti with the original Montrose. Well, he obviously got a lot of people responding to it, and he was really jazzed about it. And he gets back to me a couple of days later and goes, "Hey, you mind doing another show too with us in Sacramento?" And I'm like, "No, man, let's do it." It was 2 days before the San Francisco show, so we did those two, and it was cool. It was really cool. It was killer. And for me, it was special because when Y&T first started, we were listening to a lot of, stuff that as musicians, we were deep into it. We were into stuff that a lot of people weren't into. I mean, we knew about Queen before most of America knew about Queen. And I knew about Gary Moore and Skid Row before anybody ever heard of that band. Not the Skid Row that came later. This is a different one. And so on and so forth. So, but we were seriously into the Montrose records, the first couple records, and we would play those things at our rehearsals, just messing around, just hanging in our cars, all that kind of stuff. So that was a major influence for us. Just those couple of records, and later on down the road, we all became good friends with Ronnie and played lots of shows together. And in fact, Ronnie even came out and started to produce the 10 record for us originally. Wow. And we spent months together, me and him, and we had a decently happening relationship. So this whole thing just meant a lot to me to take his place for those shows and play with the original band. You know, it was just surreal to me. It was like, wow, this is something I would have never expected would have happened, and it was cool. You know, he even added a fifth song on the second night.
Oh, really?
Because it went over so well in Sacramento. So he goes, "Do you think you can learn this other tune before, you know, tomorrow night?" I go, "Yeah. No, it's cool." So it was great. It was a fun time. Was had by all.
That's badass. Do you remember the songs that you did?
Yeah, I did Space Station number 9, Rock Candy. Let's see, Good. No, we didn't do Good Rockin'. Wait a minute, we did.
Skip the Elvis song?
What's that?
I said you skipped the Elvis song?
Which one?
Good Rockin' Tonight. That's an Elvis song.
Oh, yeah, right. No, I wanted to do that song because I had played it before in Y&T just messing around. Okay. And we didn't actually get to that. But let's see, what else did we do? Damn. Let's see. Oh, Bad Motor Scooter. Mm-hmm. And oh shit. Rock the Nation.
Oh yeah.
So those were the 4, and then he added one more, which was oh damn, I can't remember the name now. But anyway, it was another really cool song of theirs, and so yeah, it all went so very quickly. Of course, you know, 4 songs or 5 songs in a set in front of thousands of screaming fans was
right.
and with a different band that I've never played with before. It all just went very quickly.
That's awesome. Is Dee Schneider still mad at you?
Mad at me? Hell no, we're good friends.
Oh, okay. I saw this. I saw this clip online today when I was doing a little research about when they opened for you, and like Dee had to walk off stage because he was getting pelted with shit.
Oh yeah. Well, no, he was mad at me. He was mad at our fans because we were on tour with them, and the band was. The 2 of us it was mostly them headlining every show. Mm-hmm. And they were, you know, had just really exploded on the scene, and they were kicking butt. Everywhere we went, it was pretty much sold out.
Right.
And then when we got to certain areas closer to the West Coast where we were more popular than them, then we would swap. And we would be the headliner, and they'd open up. Well, we got to the Bay Area, and they played 2 shows with us, one at the San Jose Civic and one at the San Francisco Civic. Mm-hmm. And they were opening up for both shows. Well, at the San Jose Civic was first, and they got pelted with bottles, beer bottles, and all kinds of stuff, and got booed, and it was just awful. And I felt bad for them, you know, because we were backstage, and we didn't know what was happening. And one of our row crew would come back and go, "Oh, man, you know, Dee just got hit with a bottle, and he's cussing out the fans right now, and you know, and basically saying, hey, we're going to take the band off stage if we hear any more crap from you guys."
Right.
You know? And so he came backstage and goes, "What the fuck's up with your fans, man?" I mean, he was really upset, and I don't blame him, man. I mean, nobody wants to get, you know, bottles thrown at him, and you know, that was just an unfortunate situation. I just told him, I go, "Man, I'm so sorry, but at that time, it was typical from the 70s through at least through the mid 80s, if not longer. Anybody that opened for Y&T in the Bay Area would just get hammered. I mean, it didn't matter who you were. I mean, Led Zeppelin could have reformed and they would have got fucking, you know, booted off the stage. Right. It just didn't, you know, they were just so into us that they just didn't care about the opening acts, you know, so it was just, wow. But, you know, no, but he was never upset at me.
Okay.
I mean, we've been good buddies for the longest time, yeah.
And obviously when the documentary comes out, there's going to be a lot about Phil Kennemore. Why don't you talk about him a little bit and kind of what he went through and what you guys went through with him?
Sure. Phil and I became the best of buddies as soon as he joined the band. It was basically Leonard and I first of the original 4, because Leonard actually was responsible for this whole thing starting in a way, because he had a band that was playing cover tunes, and he found out about me as a guitar player, and we jammed, and he asked me to join his band. to just do all these cover tunes. And I said, okay, yeah, let's do it. Because he the prospect of having some gigs, the paid was possible because he had been doing this already with his own band, with other guys doing basically the same kind of thing. And so when I joined the band, we were still doing cover tunes for the first year and a half. And that was like 1972. And then we came up with our first original tune with Leonard and I writing it. And the rest of the guys in the band were like, I don't want to play this crap. They were like jazz heads or who knows where the hell their head was at. But we were doing this heavy rock stuff. And we're like, we need to find some guys. So he had an idea. He goes, I know this guy that I went to, junior high with, Phil Kennemore, and we should ask him to come down. And I remember jamming with Phil one time too, at a party or something. And I said, yeah, that'd be great. And then we had a fan that used to come see us when we were doing our cover tune stuff became friends with, and he was a guitar player, and that was Joey Alves. And we asked him to audition, and that all turned out, and there was the band. So that's how we kind of got it together. And from that moment, when Phil got in the band, something clicked between the two of us, and we just became best of friends. And we hung out together. He'd go to my house, I'd go to his house, or we'd just be, hanging in a car, listening to music, talking all the time. And, it was what you did. We just spent every waking hour living, breathing, and writing music. That's all that mattered to us, was listening to it, talking about it. It was just also very exciting and everything. And so, that was the beginning of what was a lifelong friendship. And Phil was with us since we were an original band, and with us all the way through every show until he passed away. Well, not until he passed away. Well, actually, right before he passed away, because he needed to get off the road and get treated for his cancer. But it was a very, very devastating scenario to go through, because you never are prepared for losing somebody that's very close to you.
Right.
And whether that's a spouse or a mom or a dad or a sister or brother or something like that. I mean, those kinds of things they just take it out of you. I mean, it comes out of nowhere. And this is how it felt really with Phil and I. Phil was complaining while we were writing our last original record together, which was Face Melter. He was complaining the whole time about his back. Well, that wasn't anything new for Phil, because he always had back problems. He had a bad back, and he just thought that he had done some work in his yard that he he's putting in like a fence post or something, and he thought, I just tweaked it. That's all. That's so he's on painkillers the whole time that we're writing Face Melter and all that kind of stuff. And then we started hitting the road, and it was just getting worse. And it's like, wow, dude, have you gone to the doctor? He goes, yeah, I had a back x-ray, and he said everything looks fine. You probably just, pinched a nerve or something. Here's some more, painkillers.
Right.
And so, it wasn't until we started doing, like I told you, we always do these festivals in the summer in Europe, and we were doing a couple of festivals out there, and we were doing the big ones. We were doing Download Festival in London and Sweden Rock and another one in France. And we were playing a show in Cologne, Germany, in between those festivals, and he couldn't get out of his room, and we had to cancel right that same day. And basically we just put it back to we reschedule it until we were coming back in the fall. But we're like, oh my God, Phil, man, we have got to get you to a doctor. So let's go to a German hospital, and maybe they'll do a better job.
Right.
And they took a back x-ray, and again, doctor said, I don't know, your spine looks okay. I think you probably just have a pinch. Here's some more stuff.
Yep.
And so, he got through the final show at this France festival, and he flew home, and I was staying in Europe for another 2 weeks. And I just told him, I said, man, please do me a favor, go get, looked at. And again he did. And again, they didn't find anything. So I get home, and then we start a 2-month bus tour through the States, and he can't get out of the bus after each show, and he sleeps in the back stateroom in the bus because he doesn't want to go up and down the stairs from the bus to the hotel room.
Right.
So it was pretty bad. I mean, and finally we got about 4 shows into it, and we were heading towards St. Louis area. We weren't playing St. Louis, but we were going to pass through it. And I just, my wife and I were thinking about what can we do, and I don't remember if she came up with it or whatever, but we started thinking about, well, wait a minute, Tony La Russa is the St. Louis Cardinals manager. Well, he's a fan of the band, and his wife is a big fan of the band. And so we called him, and he was out of town, but we said, is it possible that you could get your team doctors to look at Phil, because we don't think he's ever got anybody to give him the right prognosis of what's going on with his back. And so he goes, let me make some phone calls, and I'll get back to you. And sure enough, within 30 minutes, the team doctor calls on Jill's phone and says, okay, it's all set up. You guys can go tomorrow. So we stopped in St. Louis, and that next day, and Phil and I went in to the doctor, and we did the whole thing all day long. And basically, they did an MRI, they did all kinds of stuff. I mean, all the stuff that he didn't get done before, and then I won't get into the whole thing, but basically the next day, another doctor asked him to come down and do one more quick thing. They wanted a CAT scan of his chest. And then it was conclusive at that point. The doctor came in to tell me and Phil that he had stage 4 lung cancer.
Oh, wow.
And he said, we got to get you back to the Bay Area, to your home. And he goes, you should go to Stanford Hospital. They've got these great cancer doctors, and you should get treated immediately. So we'd already done that. We already figured out something was going on the night before. So we had him ready to go on a plane the next day. And he went back home. And we were only 2 weeks into an 8-week tour, and we had to find somebody to come out and take his place for the next 6 weeks while Phil's back in the Bay Area getting cancer treatment. And, this was all something that Phil wanted to happen. Mm-hmm. And he was even, he even gave us a list of a couple guys that he thought would be perfect for it and this and that. Well, it turned out those guys were not available, and a friend that somebody had worked with before, that I'd never met the guy or anything, you've never even heard of him, was Brad Lang that they were recommending. And I saw a little clip of him on YouTube and said, yeah, he looks okay, let's give him a call. And he said yes right away. And he was out on a plane the next day, and we had to skip one show that we had to cancel because of the stop off for Phil. And we just kept going. He just picked up right from there. And we got back from the tour, and I set up all kinds of stuff for him. I set up while we were on the tour. Actually, I set all these things up. I said, "Man, we got to get some money in for these guys. These guys don't have any money. He and his family, and these bills are going to be astronomical." And so I set up a PayPal account for fans and people to donate money towards him. And I started selling stuff off and auctioning things right and left. And then Jill and I came up with a benefit for him on New Year's Eve, and we got all these rock stars that were friends and fans of the band came in from all over the country to help out, and we got him sorted out. And unfortunately, he died 7 days after that New Year's Eve show,
man.
And it was in 2011, January 7th, and that was it, man. It was a tough way to go. I mean, 5 months after he finds out what he's got, he was gone. It was that quick.
That's insane.
And and nobody knew. He didn't know.
Right. Right. Yeah. He just thought his back was fucked up. Man.
Yeah, exactly. And I've told that story so many times to so many people, and they stop me right at the back pain and go, "Wow, I can't tell you how many people I know have had lung cancer or heard about people have lung cancer, and they complain about back pain first before they find out." And it's like, whoa, okay, so that's like a normal thing.
Wow, man, I never heard
because
that.
It starts moving around and it goes to your spine, and all kinds of weird things happen.
That makes sense. That absolutely makes sense. So there was no part of you at any point, it's like, after he had passed, it's like, I just don't know if I can do this anymore.
Oh, yeah. There were all kinds of feelings like that from me. And, because now all of a sudden it was at least the two of us going forward all the time, 2 original band members and the principal songwriters. So, we never felt bad about doing what we were doing. and it sounded so good and everything was great. So things were just normal. But now all of a sudden there's this grave thought in my mind. Wow, I'm the only original guy left.
Right.
This is kind of weird to me. And my friend Phil's not sitting there next to me, because we both experienced the same things for the last 37 years together.
Right.
Who else am I going to bounce things off of that somebody can understand where I'm coming from, because they went through the exact same experiences that I did,
Right.
So it was just a really strange thought. And I thought, but the band is so good right now. It's just, Brad had come in and taken over for Phil and is doing a great job and added his own little personality to the band. Well, I shouldn't say little; it's quite large
Yes,
personality
it
to the
is.
band. And it just it was feeling so good. It felt like it would be a real drag to stop the whole thing. But
Right.
I talked to Phil about it, and Phil wanted me to know in no uncertain terms that he felt that the band needed to go on. We had to keep going. It was essential. He goes, all that body of work that we've done, Dave, he goes, and the new record out and everything, he goes, you got to keep going, man. You got to keep the legacy of Y&T moving. And that's exactly what we did. And we just went forward with it. But just not to be all depressing about Phil.
Right.
I just give you the bottom line about him. He's a great guy, a fun guy, an absolute crazy nut guy, and a very intelligent and smart kind of guy. So he was a lot of different things, and in ways that I don't think I've seen too many other people be. He could be a complete blow-it party freak, crazy, I'm going to get drunk and crazy every night kind of vibe, and
rock and
after
roll,
the
baby.
shows. But at the same time, he was this really sensitive, normal dude, really, together and everything else. He had sort of the best of all worlds. He was living the rock star life, but at the same time, he was also a sweet dude. So he was a big man. Let's just put it that way. In height and in the when he entered a room, there was something about him that you knew there was something kind of interesting and different and special about the guy. So yeah, he was a hell of a guy to lose. Let's put it that way.
Well, I know you're probably running late on time here, and we're getting close to almost an hour, so I don't want to keep you too much longer. But I just one more question too. I mean, you talk about new music. Is there a part of you that wants to, keep writing and keep putting? I mean, that's the musician things. Like I want to keep creating, but
of course,
in this day and age, does it make sense?
Well, it may not make sense financially. I mean, but that's not the prevailing thing that matters to all of us. I mean, not to us. It certainly doesn't to me. I mean, I can tell you that, my wife manages the band and has for 11 years now. And of course I'm the original member left. So, for the most part, it's, the word comes down from me for the most part for what we're going to do next. And
right.
I can tell you that, it's all about playing for the fans, really getting off on the music every night, getting into a zone and playing with passion and energy. That's just the way that Y&T works, and it just works every night. And for that reason alone, we would put out a new record because we want to stay current. We want to keep being creative, not because we're going to make any money on the thing. I mean,
right.
We'll certainly make some money on it, but it won't. It's not like in the old days when
right.
You could make millions on a record sale.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not going to happen.
Right.
That's a different story now. For our style of music. I mean, we've got our fans, and we've got plenty of people who will buy the record, but it's more just as a celebration of more new stuff from the band that you like, kind of thing. That's the impetus for the fans, and for us, it's just more new material that we can get really excited behind playing and creating. So that's all it's all about. And yes, we are going to go down that path again.
Nice.
And
nice.
It's supposed to happen this year that we start really getting into writing new material. And I'm supposed to have started writing a couple of weeks ago, but I've been so busy doing other things.
Right.
There's no way I could get to it. But I will eventually, and we all will get back together and start writing and putting tunes together, and probably have something out next year.
And I guess one more really quick one here too. It just kind of hit me as you were talking. Was it humbling for you at all when you go from the level that you guys were at your peak? As the years go by and the venues get smaller, was that humbling? And at what point did it become humbling?
I'd say the 90s was humbling because bands like us, and I mean everybody,
right.
Dawkins and Cinderella, everybody was having problems, and even bigger bands than that, and that was the humbling experience. That was the grunge coming in and the baby being thrown out with the bathwater kind of thing. It was not like, well, here's a new style of rock, and along with what's currently popular. No, it wasn't that. It was, here's a new style of rock, and to hell with everybody else that ever came before us. And unfortunately, they all got everybody not everybody, but lots of people in the music business to go along with that plan. Mm-hmm. So there were promoters that were not booking bands from the previous years, and there were people that were don't care about releasing records. They don't want it on the radio. I mean, it was just a big mess for about 8 years or so in the 90s, and that put everybody into a humbling situation. Guys that could go out and play 10,000 seat places could barely put 400 people into a club, maybe 200 or 150.
Right.
And so that was the big equalizer right there. That put us almost all on the same footing again. Guys that we used to open for, now we were putting in as many people or more sometimes on any given night than they were.
Wow.
And so it was just kind of an interesting scenario. But come the early 2000s, that all started to come back around again, and all of a sudden, people at the big outdoor festivals in Europe are asking for us again, and we're starting to tour through Europe and the UK again, and we're starting to tour through the States. We're starting to get more shows. It all came back around, not to the level it was in the 80s, but you know what? Pretty damn good. I mean, we still play clubs all the time, and we play small concert halls. And sometimes we'll play these big outdoor festivals and stuff. I mean, we get a little bit of everything still. And for me, a perfect gig is like what we just recently played. We played the Tracy Theater, sold it out like 2 months in advance. And it was like a 600 capacity, small, old theater, really classy, awesome place. Big stage, 600 people in a room, all going crazy. That is great to me.
That's awesome.
I'm good with that. 10,000 people, it starts to get a little bit impersonal. It starts like the closest person to you is like 50 feet away, and you're like in a 20-foot stage, and there's a barrier in between you. That's different. I like up close and personal. I like, intimate places. So it's not humbling. It's just exciting. It's all good, man.
Man, that's great. That's great, man. It's a beautiful fucking attitude to have. Dave Meniketti, see you on the boat. I cannot wait. I hosted the Kiss Jam last year, and
all right.
And I'm hosting a Cruiser Jam. It's gonna be like an anthem jam, kind of like the biggest of the big. Would you do me the honor of coming and playing Freebird with me?
I've never played that song before, but I might. I'm not going to say for sure, but
all right.
That's all depending on all
obviously
of us
if you're not
playing,
doing. And because we don't even know what the schedules are yet, yada yada yada. But that
exactly.
Offer is there. If you're able to do it, it would be a true honor. Dave, it was a pleasure to talk to you. I can't wait to see you guys on the boat again, and we'll talk soon, buddy.
Cheers, man. Thanks so much.
All right,
I appreciate
thank you,
it.
man. I really appreciate it. Dave fucking Meniketti, Y&T. God, I cannot wait to see those guys on the boat, and I cannot wait to see them in a couple weeks here in Los Angeles. Oh, Y&T rules. Hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to make like a trinket out here. We are looking at about an hour and a half right now, as you probably know because you're looking at your phone or your computer. It says, holy shit, this is an hour and a half long. See, I didn't make 2 hours, so stop you whining. Please, please, please support the show. Follow you on Spreaker. If you're listening on Spreaker, make sure you click that follow button. Then you will get notified every time a brand new show is posted, either this or Under the Covers with Izzy Presley. You can also follow on iTunes. Pardon me. Subscribe on iTunes. Leave feedback. Tell me how awesome I am. 5 stars across the board. Give her 5 stars. I can't do Charles Nelson Riley. That was horrible. But make sure you follow on either one of those. Hit me up on the Facebook page, facebook.com/another effin' podcast. Twitter, Izzy_Presley. Email, Izzy@IzzyPresleyProductions.com. Am I forgetting anything? Oh, yes, the PayPal. The PayPal. Izzy.Presley@gmail.com is your PayPal. Feel free to send money. I'll send you stickers. Yes, Trailer Park Russ, your stickers are coming. I'm sorry, I forgot. Also, you can get this show on StuffDudesLike.com. It is what it is. It's Stuff Dudes Like. If you're a dude, you will enjoy it. If you're a cool chick, you will also enjoy it. I'm going to make like a treat and get out here. Please, please, please support the sponsors. Rockstar Leatherworks. Leather bands, cuffs, and watches. Dead Threads. That one's for you ladies or guys that like to dress up as ladies. Old school rock shirts made even cooler than they are and made them all sexy and fitting to women's bodies and giggity. And, of course, Vid Decals, the ones who did my stickers. Thank you. Vid-decals.com is your website on those. And I will see you next week. Ugh. I haven't had any rock stars today, so I apologize. That's why I'm yawning so much. Anyways, what was I just going to say? I was going to tell you. Oh, yeah, next week on this show, it will be the full interviews with Rudy Sarzo, Bob Kulick, Bruce Kulick, and Joel Hoekstra from the Immortal Randy Rhoads Ultimate Tribute Special, which is airing this Friday for Under the Covers via Spreaker. The cover show is a Spreaker exclusive because I can't put it on iTunes because there's music in it, which is fine. But once it gets on terrestrial radio, it won't matter anymore to you. So, I will see you next week with the Immortal Randy Rhoads Ultimate Tribute Special show. Folks, I do love you.